PRhyme is a duo consisting of Royce da 5'9" and DJ Premier. Royce da 5'9", a Detroit rapper who has put out some decent solo material, and DJ Premier, a producer that you should absolutely know and be familiar with if you're a hip-hop head. And they teamed up in 2014 with the album PRhyme, a really kind of bouncy and energetic hip-hop album that felt very familiar in the sense that all the beats were pretty much 90s nostalgic and 90s influenced and very DJ Premier that we've heard before, but I felt like there was something about the album that had so much flair to it. Every track just had such a good sample usage, and Royce da 5'9" was rhyming really well. In a way, I think he's kind of underrated rapper, in the sense that Detroit rappers don't get that much respect outside of Big Sean and Eminem, really. But at the same time, I don't think he's like a technical rapper in the sense that everything he says is like, oh. Because one issue with that album was the casual sexism that just cropped up, and I'm not just being like an SJW. It is actually pretty common knowledge that so many times on the album he would just randomly say some stupid lines about women that were just like, what are you on about? It's kind of the thing that makes you go, yeah, maybe hip-hop still has a bit of a sexist problem, even though a lot of people dismiss it, but actually, you know, outside of every other genre, I don't think anyone else would drop lines like this. And PRhyme 2 is now here a few years later, and wow, this is a disappointing sequel album. Holy moly ball. I mean, it's not terrible. It isn't terrible. I mean, saying terrible would be stupid, right? But it's not that good. I mean, this one doesn't have the same flows and like spitting from Royce da 5'9". He's kind of just saying in the sort of like slow lane a little bit. He's just coasting, just rapping at his own pace, kind of just taking it easy, but nothing really stands out. And there's definitely a difference between being low-key and then kind of playing it safe. I think he is kind of playing it safe here. I don't think there's that much going on. Then there's the beats on this album. DJ Premier is not at the top of his game, man. Like, it's just so evident that these beats are so obviously 90s nostalgic, even though the last album was like this, but this time it's just like, okay, we're just going to take straight up rips from the 90s and just place them on the album, but we're not going to do anything new to them, we're not going to make them sound fresh, it just sounds like it came from that era. Which, yeah, it's part of their aesthetic, I know, it's sort of part of what Premier is doing in this PRhyme project. But when you've heard it all before, and you've got a rapper that's not really giving you much in the way of new sort of ideas or anything that's exciting, then I'm left wondering what's really meant to be the selling point of this album. Like, what is it? Is it the very obvious Can I Kick It sample from A Tribe Called Quest, which is an amazing song, and A Tribe Called Quest are one of the greatest hip-hop groups of all time, period. But do we really need to hear a chorus that has this same thing again? No, I don't want it. There are some great tracks on here though. Black History is a great one. I do love a lot of the lines that he drops here, especially about like the autistic son, where he's like, oh, you're saying that he's really ill, but he still manages to remember and recite anything he sees on a piano. Like that sort of idea that autism isn't a flaw in a person, it's actually sometimes enhancing a person's abilities, which I totally side with. And this track in general I think is definitely Royce's best performance lyrically and flow wise as well. He sounded really good on this one, but the rest of this album's kind of give or take, really. I feel like if you're a real rap fan who loves the 90s and loves anything that's real, then you're gonna love this. I mean, it's so familiar, it's so off the time, you're just gonna fall in love with it if that's the kind of rap you like. But if you're like me, who wants to hear something a little bit different and not just throwing it back to an era that was like the golden age, then you're just gonna be like, okay, I've heard this 100,000 times before, I don't want to hear it again. And I feel like the whole idea of this is a little pretentious as well. I feel like the whole premise of PRhyme is well, new rap music isn't very good, so we're going to give you the old stuff, you know? New rap music is not real music. It's not real music, we're gonna give you the real stuff. That kind of thing just irks me. It's the exact reason why I gave this channel name Not Real Music in the first place, for people like that. And I think on this album it demonstrates how bland hip-hop can be when you just keep it to its roots. You know, you can branch out and go all over the tree, or you can stay right at the bottom where it all started and just keep things as they were. That's not really that interesting, especially when you have a track about women not being able to flirt. Yes, the entire track is dedicated to women not being able to flirt, as if that's an actual thing. Obviously there are women out there who can't flirt, but there are obviously men out there who also can't flirt. So what's even the point of this track? Women just can't flirt in general? Like, what? It's so stupid. It kind of annoys me as well when, like, a lot of the tracks are referencing racism, like every now and then there's a line referencing it, and then you have this like random sexist line. Like, you can't just be a voice of one group of people and then oppress another. That just really pisses me off when people do that, man. It's like, you see it on Twitter all the time and social media, just people like, oh yeah, I'm the voice of this group, but you know, that group of people, oh yeah, forget about those. Like, if you're gonna be a voice of reason, just be a voice for everyone, right? Don't just say shit like that. So yeah, overall, I'm kind of meh on this album. I feel like I dislike it more than a lot of people will. I think a lot of people will think this is actually pretty decent. And for what it is decent. But overall, it's just when you've heard something so many times before, you can't help but just zone out. And I feel like I zone out a lot of the time here. It's definitely not the best performances from both people involved here, absolutely. Go back and listen to some DJ Premier's production in the past. He's done some legendary work if you never have listened to it. I'm sure you already have, but just in case you haven't. And then Royce da 5'9's 2016 album was actually pretty good as well, so go listen to that. And listen to the first PRhyme as well. The first PRhyme was great. I loved it a lot. But this is just average, so I'm going to say D+. Do let me know your thoughts on this album, if I'm being a bit harsh, or if you actually really loved it, or if you actually hated it, or whatever it was. Comment and tell me. Subscribe to the channel for more reviews, podcasts, interviews, track reactions, just every day really. Anything music related is here, and that's it. Have a good day.